to be here. I'm Betta Broad, Director of Advocacy and Organizing at the Association for Energy Affordability and Campaign Director at New Yorkers for Clean Power. And I'm thrilled to be here with New Yorkers from across the state who came from Buffalo to Brooklyn, all the way to Albany, to urge our leaders to pass New York heat. We're proud to be joined by so many of our allies in the legislature who are working with us to make energy affordable for all New York families. Because the fact is, even though leadership says they're worried about affordability, the budget didn't do enough to relieve sky-high energy costs for the most impacted families. So it's up to Albany lawmakers to deliver. They have the chance right now to help save the planet and make it so New Yorkers aren't forced to choose between keeping cool and keeping food on the table. Right now, low-income families spend 3 times more on energy bills than other families, and that's not right. New York Heat will fix that. It will cap utility bills at 6% of income for low and moderate income families. That means low-income families could save up to $75 a month. That's huge. That's more money for food, for rent, for medicine, and other basic necessities. Because the fact is, our existing gas system is incredibly expensive for everyone. Because of the 100-foot rule, New Yorkers are paying $200 million every year to expand outdated gas infrastructure to new customers who get their new pipes for free, and we're paying for it. But it's not right, but New York Heat will stop that giveaway, and it will redirect the planned $150 billion in costs for new pipes toward climate-friendly solutions instead. Those gas pipe replacements will become obsolete before we're even done paying for them, and that's crazy. And we're not just saying that. Even National Grid is trying to sell off their fossil gas utility system in the Northeast because even they know that gas is on the way out. And on top of that, New York Heat will also get rid of the obligation to serve, which means gas utilities will no longer have an excuse to build this gas infrastructure that we don't need anymore. New York Heat is the clear answer to our affordability problem, and 52 Assembly co-sponsors would agree. Now we need the Senate to pass New York Heat and Assembly Member Zubrowski to bring New York Heat to a committee vote and move it to the floor. Because we can't wait another year. The legislature must pass New York Heat now. Thank you. And now we're going to hear from our legislative leaders, starting with our incredible champion, Senate Liz Krueger.
Thank you, everyone. Well, I think our hostess already explained exactly why this bill is so important, but I'll just ask again. Anybody want to save ratepayers $200 million a year? Yes. And as Sherry also pointed out, the entire system of gas infrastructure is old, and the repairs are costing us hundreds of millions of dollars more. Why? We're not even supposed to be using gas. We all know that. We know we need to get off of gas. We know we have passed the CLCPA that has told us exactly why and when and how. So why the hell would we continue spending ratepayers' money at the tune of at least $200 million a year to continue to expand gas pipes? Does that make any sense? No! New York Heat bill, as was said, will cap expenses on utilities for low and moderate New Yorkers to 6% of their income per year. That is huge. It will stop the continued building of gas pipelines to that last 100-foot rule that was already described to you. That totally makes no sense in today's world. I'm committed to get this through the Senate. I'm joined by my colleague Natalia Fernandez right here, one of my many colleagues. And I see a whole group of Assembly members who are probably going to get up and speak next. I am actually leaving here because it's going through the Energy Committee now at 1 o'clock, and I'm there to defend the bill. For those people who might not This is the right thing to do for the environment. It's the right thing to do from a taxpayer and ratepayer perspective. And frankly, at this point in history, it's just common sense. So we have to get this bill done this year, both houses. So thank you to all my colleagues. Thank you to all my advocate friends. There's so many of you. You are just an amazing universe of people who are fighting the good fight up here and motivating us every day to do what we need to do for New York State. Thank you, thank you.
Senator Fernandez, thank you so much.
Thank you. Another one for Liz Kruger. What was the song that we started singing? What was the beat, the chant?
Climate action's not complete without New York Heat.
Climate action's not complete without New York Heat. Climate action's not complete without New York Heat. Climate action's not complete without New York Heat. All right. The next song we should be singing is Get It on the Floor. Get it on the floor. Because it's time we get it on the floor. This bill is so timely, as our great Senate sponsor said. New York is changing, the times are changing. And we cannot continue to live with the bills being this high. These prices should not be on the backs of New Yorkers, our most vulnerable New Yorkers. So the time is right now. The heat has been up. It's been a hot year in New York. I don't think we got any snow. But we need to turn the heat on and making sure that this bill passes this year as soon as possible, because what's the chant go? New York State is... New York Heat cannot compete without New York Heat. I don't know the words, but I'm here to support. This is something that New York State needs to complete. We've been heading in this direction strong and in a great time, because I feel like in the last 10 years we've made the most improvements and advancements in addressing these issues when it comes to environmental injustices, and the time is now. So congratulations on this great movement. Let's get it done. Thank you so much.
Senator Fernandez, for all of your leadership. Next up, we are going to hear from one of our leading advocates, Sonal Jessel, Policy Director of We Act for Environmental Justice.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you to all of our champions in the legislature that are here with us. My name is Sonal Jessel. I'm the Director of Policy at We Act for Environmental Justice. We are a community-based organization and representing Harlem, Washington Heights, and Inwood in New York City. So the budget didn't do nearly enough for low and middle income families who face the highest energy burden, and a hot summer ahead along with even higher bills are coming. New York Heat, like we said, can save somewhere around $75 a month for people. That is not nothing. That's money for groceries, rent, medicine, and anything. This is a very, very important provision we have in the New York Heat bill. Low and middle income households are the most impacted by volatile gas prices, high energy bills. They pay more than 3 times more of their income on energy bills than non-low income households. Low income residents in New York City spend a median of 9.3% of their household income on their energy bills. That is huge. New York Heat Act would cap bills at 6% of household income for these families. And it's not just about income. This is also a matter of racial justice. University of California, Berkeley found that Black renters paid $273 more per year for energy than white renters between 2010 and 2017. Black homeowners also paid $408 more for energy than white homeowners during the same period. We have a racial justice issue on our hands when it comes to utility bills. We are facing rising rates both in New York City. Con Ed and National Grid are both proposing massive rate hikes. New York Heat will also help us secure some level of financial safety for our residents as we're transitioning away from fossil fuels. So we encourage our legislature to pass New York Heat to set these protections for people. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sonal. Thank you for your leadership. Next up, we have Assemblymember Emily Gallagher, who, without Emily Gallagher, we would not have had our big victory with the All-Electric Building Act, with the budget. So that was amazing, and we're going to keep building until we decarbonize every building in New York and do it equitably. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, and it is so great to see you all again, because you are the ones who got all electric in the budget and got that passed. Without the kind, common sense pressure that you put on every single of your representatives, this would not have happened. And we're going to do the same thing with New York Heat. Because the reality is, at this point, we are already seeing the temperatures rise globally, and there is nothing that we can do that would be too much for climate. There's only not enough. And that's where we are right now, despite doing something incredible. There's still so much more that we need to do. And New York Heat really grabs a bunch of those issues. We should not be subsidizing gas at this point. We should not be building new gas infrastructure at this point. And I'm so pleased to see my friends from Sane Energy here as well, because, and my colleagues in North Brooklyn, because we took down a pipeline and we took down new LNG plants. We are fighting gas on every level and at home. No, sorry, talking about gas too much here. So we're fighting natural gas at every level, and we are ready, willing, and able to do more for New York State, and we are going to lower bills. We are going to change the way we think about energy, and we're doing that because of your efforts and your work. So I want to thank you all, and I am here for it, and you know I'm going to keep championing this and everything that we can do to decarbonize our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Gallagher, and love the shout out to Sane Energy Project, because it is truly insane to keep expanding and subsidizing gas infrastructure, and we so appreciate you all in the fight and all of your incredible work. Next up, we have another legislative champion. We have Senator Kristen Gonzalez. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, we'd love to catch some of this on radio, if you don't mind, without a mic.
Sure.
That way all of those listening and
Oh.
can hear your...
All right. I have the fun job of projecting. Can y'all hear me? Yeah. All right. How are we feeling today? Feeling good? Woo! Hi, everyone. My name is Senator Kristen Gonzalez, and I represent Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. And we got those girls in the house? Yeah, we do. And it feels so good to be here, because from every corner of my district, we know firsthand that time is up when it comes to climate. Time is up when it comes to fossil fuel. And I represent communities that are right next to, for example, Ravenswood power plant, that have suffered for generations from fossil fuel. I represent Brooklyn with Assemblymember Gallagher, representing generations of Greenpointers who have suffered also at the hands of fossil fuel companies. And so this issue is not only, as you heard, a racial justice issue, an issue of really addressing climate, but it's also justice, true justice for communities who have been dealing with this forever. And so I, as a member of the Energy Committee, and about to go head to that committee to vote for this, wanted to come and say thank you for being part of our movement. Thank you for working on this, and knowing that every family struggling with the cost of living will benefit from that 6% cap and that $75 average. That's groceries, that's rent, that's childcare that we could be putting that money to. So thank you all so much for fighting for this. I'm proud to vote for it, and I cannot wait to continue fighting this fight for justice when it comes to climate with you this year and next year as well. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Senator Gonzalez. Next up, we have Assemblymember Khalil Anderson from the Rockaways, fighting for affordability and climate justice.
There we go, there we go. It's very appropriate that I go after the youngest state senator, being the youngest assembly member, in Kristen Gonzalez. So, good afternoon, everyone. Are we ready to fight for New York Heat? Yeah. Are we ready to fight for New York Heat? Yeah. All right, we got energy in here. You guys saw what I did there? Okay, good. So, good afternoon, everybody. We're really grateful to be here this afternoon. One really important thing that we have to note is that the Assembly has 52 sponsors on this legislation. So let's give the Assembly a big round of applause. That means that we're a step closer to 76, and we're going to keep pushing until we get to 76, right? Awesome. But the crux of this bill is so important. When we're talking about working class New Yorkers who are struggling all across this state, this is a savings of $75 per month if we pass this New York Heat Act. Not only is it a savings, but it's a pushback on the gas industry, National Grid, and Con Edison, who continuously, they be conning us, that's right, Con Edison, National Grid and Con Edison. And so they continue to increase our bills and harm our families in this moment. And this bill would ensure that not only do we invest where money should go to improve the outcome of our energy, cleaner energy, lower bills, but we're also making sure that the working class New Yorkers are not continuously being squeezed. This year, National Grid is proposing a $30 increase per month, which is 17% for usage of gas. It's not right. Is that right? That ain't right. Con Edison is also proposing a rate increase. This legislation would stop that in its tracks. And I'm grateful for that. But we have to make sure that we pass it. So I'm grateful for our colleagues in the Senate. Let's give them a big round of applause. And of course, the best house who's going to make sure that we get this done, the Assembly. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Anderson. Next up, we have another climate champion from the Senate, Senator Julia Salazar. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. You know what they say, everything may have been said, but it hasn't been said by everybody, and that's why I am speaking briefly about this. I am so thrilled to be here, though, seriously, in support of New York Heat. We in North Brooklyn intimately know the devastating negative impacts of the climate crisis. And we have had to fight. We have had to fight to protect our communities from the impacts of climate change. We continue to have to fight an expansion of a fracked gas pipeline that go through all of our communities in North Brooklyn, a liquefied natural gas facility. This is what we are up against even 4 years after passing landmark climate legislation in the CLCPA in 2019. It doesn't make sense that after we passed that crucial climate legislation, after now we have a climate action plan, that there still are laws and policies in our state that impede our progress, that nullify, that prevent us from achieving the goals that we have laid out for climate justice. And that is what we are seeking to change. That is what New York Heat will change. It also recognizes that ratepayers are most affected when we allow the utilities, the corporate utilities, to continue to use natural gas and to even expand fossil fuel use in our state. It doesn't need to be this way. And we're not going to stop until we get this done for low and moderate income ratepayers and for all New Yorkers. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Salazar. We are not going to stop because it's not complete without New York Heat. Next, we're going to hear from Assemblymember Tony Simone. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Tony Simone. I'm the Assembly member from Chelsea Hell's Kitchen in the Upper West Side, Times Square. I saw what the climate crisis did firsthand to New Yorkers when I worked in the city council when Superstorm Sandy hit. It affected the poorest communities among us, communities of color and business owners. Homes were flooded. They actually are talking now about creating 20-foot walls around Manhattan. There was a recent article in the New York Times that skyscrapers are making the boroughs sink, and that our buildings, along with cars, are killing our Mother Earth. We're behind the curve on this. I am so thankful to all the advocates here. The heat bill not only would cap bills to 6%, it means investing in cleaner energy and infrastructure. Fossil fuels is so 1990s. It's time that we move to full electric buildings, which you all got done. And now we need to pass the heat up and turn up the heat in the days left in session, because in the end, this is about Mother Earth. We're behind the curve. No more to the fossil fuel industry, and yes to clean energy.
Yeah, turn up the heat for New York Heat. Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Assemblymember Harvey Epstein.
Thank you all for being here. It's really been a great year on some environmental issues. Imagine we can make this an amazing year. Imagine you had a plan that could take every low-income New Yorker and say, I'm going to give you $75 a month back in your pocket, money to pay your rent, to pay your groceries, to live your life, to do things in your community. That's exactly what we're talking about here. We're trying to give resources to low-income New Yorkers and to ensure that they have those resources to live, and at the same time doing environmental justice in our state. There's no more win-win than talking about helping New Yorkers and helping our climate. That's all we're talking about today. So you're going to hear companies say, well, this is going to be a cost to ratepayer. They're not telling the truth. They're going to say, this is not workable. That's not true. The reality is, this works, it makes sense, it's an environmental future we believe in, it supports the CLCPA, it supports our values, it supports what we're trying to get done in New York State. So our opportunities now, with 10 days left of session, to get it done. Thank you.
Yes, we've got 10 days left, we can still do it. Next, we're going to hear from Assemblymember Stephen Raga.
Thank you, everybody. I'm not going to do the chant because I'm not going to stop doing it. That is a catchy, catchy tune. I'm Assemblymember Steve Raga from District 30 in Western Queens. Anybody from Queens? This is a bill we need to pass now. You could see all of the Assembly members, the senators, we are taking time out of committee meetings to come here and let you know this is common sense. We should be passing this right now. The only individuals or entities where this is not common sense to are if you are a utility company. If you're a utility company that's taking advantage of New Yorkers. If you're a utility company that's taking advantage of the most vulnerable New Yorkers in our state. So we're here together as the elected officials here, and we're going to do our organizing to make sure we get people on the bill. And thank you for coming up here in Albany to let all our colleagues in government know how important this issue is, not just to my constituents in Queens, not just to downstate, all across our state. We need to do more for climate. We need to do more for our taxpayers, more for our renters. And with your help together, we're passing this in 2023. Thank you so much. Okay.
We won't get this done without our legislators, but we also need our incredible advocates. Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you for your work over all of these years. We wouldn't have banned fracking, we wouldn't be banning pipelines, and we wouldn't have passed the all-electric bill, and we certainly wouldn't be getting New York Heat over the finish line. So next, I want to bring up Alicia Bacon from Mothers Out Front to say a few words from an advocate's perspective. Thank you.
Mothers Out Front, and I'm a community organizer. I'm standing here for the member leaders of the Capital Region team that couldn't make it because they are working moms and people, but we are united in our love for our community, not just the Capital Region or just our families, but the whole world and the people that have yet to come. And we know that we can best make change in our world by taking action here at home. New York has an urgent need for implementation of the New York Home Energy Affordability and Transparency Act. This critical legislation aims to make New York a great place for all to live. Right now, there is a disproportionate burden of high utility bills on lower income households. Many currently allocate a staggering 10% of their income to meet their energy needs. The New York Heat Act seeks to alleviate this financial strain by reducing utility bills by roughly $75 per month for those who struggle to most make the ends meet. This would mean that households and families here in Albany would see their energy costs go down now. which is vital as nearly a quarter of the city here lives below the outdated poverty line. The New York Heat Act will provide immediate relief to vulnerable New Yorkers, and this is a critical part of the Climate, Jobs, and Justice package. This comprehensive suite of legislation is designed to build an inclusive and environmentally conscious society where every resident has the opportunity to not just survive, but to truly thrive. Nobody should have to choose between keeping cool or keeping food on the table. That is simply untenable for the wealthiest country in the world. The Climate, Jobs, and Justice package would fully fund and implement the 2019 New York State Climate Law, propelling us towards a prosperous, sustainable future. This visionary initiative champions accessible renewable energy, fosters green new jobs, and demands corporate accountability. Together, we can illuminate a path towards a cleaner, fairer tomorrow if we hold steadfast to justice and opportunity. This is a pivotal moment that can shape a sustainable legacy for generations to come, and I'm proud to be with you all on this journey.
Thank you, Alicia. Let's give it up for moms on the front line and moms everywhere fighting for our kids' future. Thank you so much. Next up, we have another amazing advocate from the Albany area, Merton Simpson, who is an Albany County legislator, who is the co-chair of the Sheridan Hollow Alliance for Renewable Energy, and is fighting the good fight locally and beyond. Thank you so much for being here.
Cher, of course, supports the New York Heat Act. And we need to pass this before the legislators go home. But I'm here today to talk about another related bill that Senator Breslin and Assemblywoman Fahey, the Renewable Capital Act. And basically what we're asking for is to have the Capitol, the Empire State Plaza, the museum, the education building, the Alfred E. Smith building, the Empire State Plaza is a 98.5 acre facility. The city of Albany has approximately 100,000 people. On any given day, the workforce in the Empire State Plaza is 11,000 people, not including guests, lobbyists, visitors. The Empire State Plaza, the Capitol, at a time when we have the CLCPA, and to have frack gas pumped in from Pennsylvania on a daily basis is like preaching in our underwear. I believe that the previous governor did not make the Capitol renewable because if he knew what he did right in Albany, it would prevent him from doing wrong things in the balance of state. But we need to call on Governor Hochul to do the right thing. All these lofty goals we have for renewable energy is meaningless if we don't even have our own house in order. The Empire State Plaza historically has been a model of innovation, and we have a responsibility to lead and to hold true to the long-term legacy of the Empire State Plaza. What we're talking about is global sustainability. Right now, they're excited in England because they can grow champagne grapes. But the last time I checked, more people eat potatoes than drink champagne. And the climate is not compatible for both things. We have to have our priorities straight. I am afraid that even if we were doing everything possible now, our grandchildren wouldn't have a future much better than The Walking Dead. But we're so far from doing everything possible that I shudder to think how close we are or if we've already passed the tipping point. We have to pass the New York Heat Act. We have to pass the Renewable Capital Act. We have a responsibility to leave this planet in at least as good a shape as when we found it, and our grandchildren, at the rate we're going, are not going to make it. That is not acceptable. I'm calling on us to redouble all our efforts to make sure that we do everything we can to stop this crazy tide of, when I looked at 2021 and the subway on 28th Street and 6th Avenue was completely flooded, something never happened before. People in Brooklyn were drowning in their basement apartments. The whole East Coast, anything near water, is susceptible to major hurricanes. It's only going to get worse. all the actual carnage on the ground has exceeded our worst models, and it's not a linear descent. If we don't act with all of our resources now, the cataclysm is going to come sooner than we even anticipate. So I know everybody here is on board, but we got to fight with everything we got to make the right thing happen.
Thank you. Yes. Albany County Legislator Merton Simpson, thank you for fighting the good fight and reminding us that there has been already so much suffering because of the climate crisis. And it's up to us to act now so that we do have a sustainable future. And next up, I want to bring our Assembly Member, Pat Fahey, who has been a champion, who has been a sponsor on the Assembly side for this bill. Thank you so much for leading on New York Heat and for all of your leadership on climate.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. What a wonderful turnout on such a crazy, we're down to our last few days in session, and I so appreciate the support. You are really helping to inspire me and helping to keep us moving. We have so many bills we're trying to get through the chute. We've had an amazing year on so many environmental bills, including the all-electric bill and more. So this is, I feel like, one of the last big ones for this year. We will keep working. I know we've been struggling, but I think the message is the right one. We've got to stop this automatic 100-foot rule. We've got to stop these automatic hookups that are making ratepayers pay for old, really what is an old, outdated rule. So we are still moving. We know we have work to do. Still talking to the committee folks, as well as still working with my wonderful chair on this, Senator Krueger, who is tireless as well. And it's your support that is really building all of this. Great to follow one of my own county legislators, Mert Simpson. You've been tireless on this, as well as the efforts to bring renewable energy to the Capitol. So I will just want to say thank you and love the heat pumps, not pipelines. We also just passed a pipeline, an insurance bill that I've had for a couple of years. So thank you. We'll keep moving. It is your work that is really making the difference. I am so proud to be affiliated with all of you. I see one of my other colleagues just walked up, Assemblywoman Joanne Simon, and Assemblymember Chris Burdick, and more, who have been just tremendous in helping to move this bill. And I'm sure I missed things. What else did I miss, Alex? Alex Flood, who's helping me. Sorry. Climate Action Now. There we go. Climate Action Now. As County Legislator Mert Simpson just said, we pay now or we pay later. And so much of this is about prevention. I remember even a few years ago showing that we had already spent $50 billion just since Andrew Cuomo had been governor. So just in the last 10 to 12 years, we have spent $50 billion as a state on climate-related disasters. So we either work to prevent all those or we continue to pay. Again, thank you for the support. Thank you for allowing me to jump in a little late here, coming out of a few committee meetings, and we've also just moved my dark skies bill, so could use your help on that too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Fahey, for all of your great work, and congratulations on the progress you're making. We are making progress, everybody. We're getting there. One day at a time and one leader at a time. Our next champion to come up, Senator Leah Webb. Thank you so much for being here.
So I'd be remiss in this moment if I didn't further add on to the spirit in which you all are here in the Capitol today. So we're all here to pass the New York Heat Act, right? Yeah. And when do we want it passed? Now. I don't think they heard you. When do we want it passed? Now. Absolutely. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much to my colleague, Senator Krueger, and her advocacy, Assemblymember Fahey. There's so many of us, both in the Assembly and the Senate, that are working hard in these last, I think it's like 8-9 days left in the legislative session, but this bill is so important. In the Senate, we passed a package of bills literally last week as it pertains to providing more support for ratepayers as it pertains to our utilities. And so this bill also facilitates that. I hear from constituents all over my district, so I represent Broome, Cortland, and Tompkins counties here in New York. Thank you. And people are being strapped by significantly high heat bills, and we can do something about it. So we can not only address the economic challenge, but also the environmental requirement that we have to ensure that we do what is necessary and equitable for all New Yorkers. And this is another step in that direction, and I'm glad to be in support of this legislation. Thank you all so much for your advocacy. We can get this done, because when do we want it passed? Now! Let's try one more time. When do we want it passed? Now! Thank you all so much. I appreciate you.
We appreciate you, Senator Webb. Next up, from the Binghamton area to Brooklyn, we have Assembly Member Bobby Carroll.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here with all of you. We need to pass the New York Heat Act now so that we can finally close the circle on the CLCPA. We need to do this to make sure that we are no longer investing in dirty fossil fuel infrastructure that will be lost and will be stranded because we are no longer going to use fossil fuels in the state of New York because what we were able to do this year, because we were able to pass the All-Electric Buildings Act, we were able to pass the Build Public Renewables Act. Because we were able to do all of that, we have finally set a course to make sure that no longer are we going to be reliant on fossil fuels in New York State. So it behooves us, it makes sense to do. Let's do the New York Heat Act. Let's also help low-income New Yorkers pay for their utilities at the same time. I'm proud to support it. I know that most of the members in the Assembly support it. What we need now is all your help of making sure it gets to the floor and passes in the next 3 weeks. Thank you so much.
Assembly Member Joanne Simon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, you don't need me to reiterate what this bill does. You all know too well. Thank you so much because you've been part of this and you've made this happen. And we're here today because of your advocacy and because you care about our future. This is such a critical bill, and it is really a key piece in the overall package of moving New York from fossil fuels to environmentally just fuels. And I will say, as somebody who represents an area with a large Superfund site, that the ratepayers are always being required to pay for the degradation that was caused by the utilities. Degradation caused by fossil fuel interests who keep pushing that envelope and then want us to pay for it. And I've had it, my constituents have had it. We want clean air, clean energy. We believe strongly in that right to clean air, clean water, and a healthful environment, and the CLCPA and the New York Heat Act will make a huge difference in making that happen. So thank you very much. Let's move on and get this passed now. Thank you.
Appreciate, okay, yes, we're going to do that New York Heat. Climate action's not complete without New York Heat. Climate action's not complete without New York Heat. All right, woo! New York Heat. Gotta keep that energy up, everybody. Next up, I would like to invite Assembly Member Dana Levenberg, who rallied with us last summer in Tarrytown. Also, to fight gas infrastructure build-out. Thank you for still being here, and come on up.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, thank you guys so much to all the advocates. Without you, we wouldn't be here right now fighting, continuing to fight to do what we can to disrupt climate change. Obviously, we're talking today, I heard on the news we're talking about the Colorado River, and that we don't have enough water to meet the needs of agriculture. Today we have Dairy Day here, and we know that without clean water, clean air, we're not going to be able to continue to support our agriculture industry. If we don't do everything that we can right now, it's already too late. So we have to continue to fight the fossil fuel industry's rhetoric, which we know is just a false narrative that is forcing us to have lots of people questioning what we need to do. We need to pass the New York Heat Act now. We need to unravel ourselves from dependence on fossil fuels, and the only way that we can do it is to take bold steps. So that's why I'm here today, and I thank you all for supporting New York Heat Now. Let's get it done. When do we want it? Now!
Thank you. We are so grateful for all of these fantastic new assembly members. Another one, new leadership who's been fighting for climate action for a long time. Assembly member
So my name is Sarah Hannah Shrestha. I represent the Mid-Hudson Valley, District 103. And, you know, I talked to so many people when I ran for office specifically about private utilities and our energy system. And when I was going around dropping COVID tests recently, somebody opened the door shirtless and said, basically, private utilities are a scam. And no matter what we do, they are set up to make profits and to make ratepayers pay for everything that they do against our planet, against our health, and against the climate. So people are waking up to the fact that the energy system and the private utilities specifically are not set up to be aligned with our climate goals, to be aligned with our well-being goals, and to take care of the people that energy is supposed to serve. So we cannot rest easy just because we passed the budget and just because we passed a couple of bills in that budget. We have to make sure that we move on full steam ahead with the remaining days of the session, because a lot needs to be done and we cannot waste our time and we cannot wait till next year. People are waiting for their energy system to be democratic. People are waiting to see how New York is going to act to meet its climate goals, and we absolutely cannot let them down. So I'm very happy to push for this bill today, and I'm very happy that you guys are here doing the same. Thank you so much.
You do us proud in Ulster County. Thank you so much. Next up, would love to invite up Assembly Member Mary Jane Shimsky from a little further down the Hudson River in Westchester. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, everyone. Ready for some nice, clean heat this winter? Yes. You know, ever since I've been the age of many of the people behind me, the whole false choice that's made, either you go for the environment or you go for cost savings, is a false choice. Please tell me how it's cheaper to just keep digging up miles and miles and miles of road and putting in miles and miles and miles of pipe. It doesn't make sense. We know what we need to do to preserve the public health. We know what we need to do to preserve the environment. But you know what? It turns out that those things are not more expensive than what is done with gas. We need to pass Assemblywoman Fahey's bill. I pledge to work on doing whatever I have to do to help her get it to the floor and get it passed. Thank you.